We're still waiting to go live. Yes. Okay. Hi, guys. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on yet another session of Dialogues That Matter. This is Shruti here from Dialogues, and we have with us someone really special for today's interview as well. Like you all know, if you've been following us, Dialogues That Matter is an interview series where we talk to people from different walks of life who've been doing stellar work in their own fields. We wanted to break the silence around conversations around mental health this month. So, to that effect, we're speaking to a couple of people, organizations who are from that particular field. I would like to introduce Nitya, the co-founder of Heart It Out, who's taken some time to answer a couple of our questions and scratch her brain. Thank you so much, Nitya. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. This is so nice.
It's our pleasure to have you. Just a couple of lines about Heart It Out and Nitya. I think Nitya has too many things. If I start talking about her, I think we'll just run out of time. Let's just say she's practicing in the mental health field, and she has a venture that's Heart It Out. And apart from that, she also is a keen believer of the arts, and she's kind of trying to bring the both of them together. And we'll find out through the course of this conversation. Let's just get right to it. What is mental health um in general, and what is mental health to you?
So, World Health Organization has a definition. It says
Sure.
mental health is cognitive, emotional, behavioral well-being of oneself.
Right.
But I think for me, it's one of that highly overlooked part of one's own health.
Right.
And what it encompasses is the discovery and the practice of healthy behaviors, healthy thoughts, and
Yeah.
healthy actions in our own lives for ourselves.
Right. Right. And what does it mean for you? Do you have anything? Does that specifically mean something to you personally as Nitya and as someone who is in that particular field?
I think as a stakeholder in a field, the way I view mental health is very different from somebody outside. Like for me, it's
Right.
the biggest part of my life.
Right.
It's in everything I see. So even if I'm seeing education or a relationship with my family members, mental
Right.
health does play a part for me in everything. So
Right.
almost the lens with which I see life.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one way of putting it, right? Because you're someone who's at the core of this entire field. So everything you do is kind of reflective of mental health, and kind of that's the perspective you kind of look at it at. Um, so, like I said, Nitya is the co-founder of Heart It Out. So that's an interesting name. On the get-go, the first time you hear the name, it's like, okay, that's an interesting name. So talk to us about the name and what is it that you guys do at Heart It Out?
But yeah, it is an interesting name. Thank you. That's a
Yeah.
so I don't know, what does it mean to you when you hear Heart It Out? Like,
I think so. When I heard the name, it's almost like it's almost like a spin on the word "vent it out," perhaps. But instead of "vent," you just say "heart it out." So with someone who you can kind of be friendly and have a friend, like a friend-like equation, rather than just going and dumping something on someone, or having a professional equation. I think that's what it means to me. It has a friendly ring to it more than just yeah.
okay. I think I did get a bit of it from Pour Your Heart Out and a bit
Right.
from Talk It Out because
Right.
therapy is very much verbal and conversational.
Right.
So maybe a combination of the two. But I've
Okay.
heard so many versions of it. People call up and go, "Is this Hear It Out?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we'll hear you out. Okay, we'll hear you out."
Yeah.
But yeah, that Heart It Out has stuck after 3 years. So
Okay.
it's
Okay. Okay. So one of the major things we have seen, or I have seen in the past few years, is that there's been a lot of conversations around mental health in the youth.
yeah.
So when I say youth, I'm certain there's a certain age bracket that comes into play. But I'd like to know from you, as someone who is a keen practitioner of this field, and like you said, a stakeholder in this field. Could you talk to us a little about the increase in the awareness per se in the youth, as well as why is there so much conversation in the youth? I'm just thinking out loud, so you can just engage me.
Huh. Youth is generally the most looked at in every generation, no? They're
Right,
the most productive of every generation.
right,
Future lies in their hands. And I think when we mean youth for now, currently it's mostly the millennials and Gen Z
right,
that constitutes the youth.
right,
Um, Youth mental health is pretty complicated. It's complicated for a lot of reasons because the youth of today is more connected to the world than
right,
to the youth of any other time. We
right,
are accessible to other youths of other countries.
right,
Youth in one geographical space has access to almost everything, like Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. Now you have access to everything.
right.
They're very woke, very well politically informed as compared to the youth of any other generation before.
Agreed.
Definitely, they tend to take their own mental health into their own hands because they
Right,
seem to understand the importance of it.
correct.
Great
Yeah,
compared to the previous generations, which
yeah,
didn't think of themselves as importantly.
right,
Youth mental health, unlike mental health support for others, adults, needs to be a more collaborative process with the youth.
right,
Uh, Most often, teenagers are like, "Why do I have to listen to an adult?" And it's
correct.
okay, that is when their identity is forming, and
Yeah,
that most teenagers are questioning, "Are my thoughts right? Are Do I want to believe in a certain space?" So they are more open to mental health work, but they
right,
do not accept a lot of directive work. They
right,
need a lot of exploratory work with them. So
correct,
it's a great space that way to open up collaboration channels between mental health professionals and the youth,
right,
because we're not just dealing with the youth, right? We're also dealing with who could be future civic servants, future
correct,
politicians, future leaders.
right,
And it's important to see and train them to be better than their predecessors.
correct. I think just because you brought it up, could you talk to us a little bit by what you mean by collaboration with the youth?
uh, like therapy can't be like one way with the youth. Like it can't be, I'm going to tell you what to do and you will go do it.
Right,
It's got to be a lot more, okay, what are your thoughts about life? What are you looking forward to yourself? And
right.
young people tend to choose to live lifestyles that are far different
Hmm.
than the lifestyles that their
Agreed.
parents' generation
Yeah,
lived. um, while they're also more vulnerable than ever before, they're also more open to seek support than any other population.
true. You're right. Yeah,
And it's time we build accessible systems that they can reach out to and
right,
not keep the old traditional systems of therapy and work.
right. I think that kinds of brings me to the next point. What you did talk about is the accessibility, right? But to a lot of people, accessibility to mental health also means affordability, right? Could you talk to us a little bit about that, especially for the youth? If I mean, as a follow-up to the previous question.
Accessibility always brings up accountability and affordability as a question, right?
Right.
It's like best friends. They always
Yeah.
come.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially in a country like India.
huh?
Especially in a country like India, right?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Um, but accessibility does not always have to mean affordability. I will
Right.
address both though.
Right.
With respect to affordability, at least with us, and in a lot of government organizations, I know it's very, very cheap to afford therapy. But
Right.
definitely at Heart It Out, the foundation covers 50% of the cost for most psychology students, up
Uh-huh.
to 50% of the cost.
Okay.
Uh, we also provide financial aid for anybody who requests it.
Okay.
So that way, I do think that we're able to bring more affordability into the space because we
Right.
are supposed to make therapy more accessible to future therapists.
Right.
So people will stay in the field.
Right.
We're hoping that at some point we will extend this to all students
Right.
to have better access to therapy.
Right.
Uh, but it's not the only hindrance to the youth.
Correct.
A big part of the hindrance that is overlooked in youth mental health is privacy to talk about confidential information for themselves. And
Right.
confidential support is very high on priority for the youth and is
Agreed.
very, very taken for granted.
Yeah.
Uh, So the stigma of trying to convince parents that they need therapy, parents who don't understand why therapy is needed, there's a lot of conversation that needs to happen there, right? For a
Right.
lot of the youth, an entire support system called family doesn't exist.
Yeah.
This conversation is
Yeah.
not happening.
Yeah.
So it is so important to build and bridge this gap. So a lot of our events and workshops are aimed at building this conversational gap between the people who can provide monetary backing to
Correct.
reach therapy, because it can
Yeah.
be expensive.
Yeah.
There are systems though.
Yeah.
For example, the government of India has mandated that every educational institution, CBSE to guarantee, has access to a psychologist.
Right.
But what it doesn't do, for example, including the institutions as well as the government, is measure the quality of care that is provided.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes there is no supervision of the psychologist, there is no assessment of maintaining confidentiality,
Right.
no assessment of whether there was a safe space created.
Right.
And most therapists in educational institutions end up being relegated to the role of
Yeah.
attendance issue solver rather
Correct.
than
Yeah.
a caregiver or a professional caregiver of a person's mental emotional health.
Right.
And not having access to qualified therapists in educational institutions means that youth will need to go outside, and private therapy is expensive.
Right.
Uh, the other big problem is most mental health professionals don't embrace technology, or we're not encouraged to,
Hmm.
even when
Okay.
we're not in schools and colleges. Telehealth is like, please do it if there's nothing else available.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get what you mean. I think
Uh,
again that comes from the fact that in a country like India, I'm sure if we go to the West, this whole concept of telehealth, mental health conversations would be definitely a little more easier.
yeah,
Or yeah,
but that's also because a lot of mental health in the West is covered by insurance, which is
true.
a big thing, right? It's
Yeah.
not covered in India by insurance,
Yeah.
so that's definitely something.
Yeah.
But not embracing technology means that even if there is a great therapist, let's say in Delhi, somebody from Raipur can't access them.
Hmm. Agreed. Yeah.
Not great,
Yeah.
because you can't provide care beyond geographical location restrictions. And
Right.
that does put a dampener on accessibility to care, especially now, like
Yeah.
with all of us in lockdown.
Yeah.
It feels like a lot of us have been left behind in technologically being able to be available for our clients.
Correct.
So that was our first problem to tackle mostly at Heart It Out. So
Okay.
we're trying to make everything technology dependent. So our entire sessions can be booked online. The whole process is automated, so you don't have to interact with any human beings.
Okay.
Social anxiety is real for a lot of clients who can't
Right.
pick up the phone and say, I need to reach out to a therapist. And it's good for us to make it as easily accessible as possible.
Right.
And under 3 minutes, you can book a session on our website.
Okay.
I think that's something that we really hold close, that people
Right.
have such high access.
Right.
And that's the reality for the youth of today, right? Like we're used to ordering a
At the click of a button. Right.
Swiggy and
Yeah.
Uber, and
Yeah.
why not mental health?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I mean, that's far ahead. We have a lot of things to combat in between where we are right now and reaching that stage where we think about it's not as easy as, let's book an Ola and you book or an Uber and you do that. It's not as easy as, okay, I want to see a therapist. Let me kind of, browse and select. So
We
it's
can,
not that easy. It
yeah,
can
and we
be,
can make
definitely.
it that easy.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, all of us do come together, but
right,
therapy is expensive. Okay, saying all of this, I can't overlook the fact that therapy is expensive. But
right,
if I had to compare them to hobbies, it's like
right,
taking up skipping rope versus taking up drumming.
right.
No,
Yeah,
skipping 50 rupees. You buy one, you skip all the time. But
right,
drumming is a longer, more money intensive, time intensive hobby. So
correct.
taking care of our mental health by, after having not cared for it for so many years and living in a society that doesn't pay too much attention to it,
Yeah.
it is a lot of work.
Right. I think another factor, again, I'm just observing, you can perhaps correct me if I'm wrong. is that if we think about health in general, if we had to, let's say, go see a cardiologist, neurologist, they're not going to charge you anything less than 800, 900 per hour, right? We're ready to spend that much to go to these kind of doctors, but not to a therapist. Again, that's something comes from your head, and the way we've kind of uh, kind of asked to look at, or not even look at, mental health as an option, or to spend that much. I think that's also one issue, because we haven't looked at mental health as something that is as viable as an option as the physical health that we kind of pay so much attention to. So that's something as well. Do you have something to add regarding that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of us do believe in seeing is
Yeah,
making a difference. So, like,
yeah,
if it's something that is visible in the body, it's
right,
given a lot more importance than anything else. But I must say, if we can pay 1,000 rupees and get ourselves like a pizza, I bet we can do
yeah,
that as well.
true,
But
true,
the thing I think is perceived value,
right,
and also knowing that working on my mental health is actually super important for my life. I
right,
don't think a lot of us recognize its importance.
right,
A lot of us recognize how far it will take us by just having a therapist you can soundboard your questions with, you can
right,
plus your thoughts and fears with, how
right,
much it can change your life.
right. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's a lot of things to kind of think about and reflect. Since we spoke about the youth, I think we also should kind of clarify and say that therapy clearly has no age bars, right? So, what are the observations you can make as someone who is in the field, and can you bust some myths around this for us?
Yeah, like I think definitely no age bar for therapy. If at 71 I want to be a better person, then at 71 also I want to be better, no? And
Right,
a therapist is just an aid, like a tool for you to be a better person.
right,
And a lot of people, one of the myths is that therapy is for the crazy, or
yeah,
therapy is for the seriously mentally ill with
right,
a clinically diagnosed disorder.
right,
Not really.
yeah,
Therapy is for anybody who wants therapy.
right,
Therapy is for anybody who wants to get to know themselves better, have better relationships, um, just navigate in a healthier manner in life. If
right,
somebody had a cheat code book, wouldn't we go through it a little bit and be like, okay, what's the cheat code for life?
yeah,
This therapy is cheat code for life.
yeah,
Somebody has figured out shortcuts to emotions, shortcuts to healthier coping mechanisms, and they're willing to teach you.
yeah,
And there is no upper limit to better, right?
right, yeah,
We can keep getting better and better and better. But while I do say that anybody can therapy, uh, it is important to say that therapy needs a certain mindset.
okay,
Therapists are not magicians that you just go into and then they'll scan your brain and they'll tell you, "Tada! This is your solution," like a drug
right,
at McDonald's. No, it's
right,
not. It's not like that. Therapy is very, very tailor made for for that one person.
right,
So every time somebody comes in, a psychologist needs to take time to understand that person's whole life before we start exploring gaps and depths and stuff
right,
about them. And therapy is a lot of hard work,
yeah,
lot of hard work.
yeah,
So it requires ourselves to take that time to dig in, go into uncomfortable parts of ourselves,
yeah,
draw boundaries with people we've never drawn boundaries with before, say no,
yeah,
confront a lot.
yeah,
It does require people to be ready
yeah,
before they go
yeah,
to therapy. Even if one is a victim of circumstances or trauma, therapy works with the premise that you can take power of your life and its actions back to you.
right, yeah,
The, that means uncomfortableness.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think, simply put, you need to be kind of accepting or ready to kind of do this. Otherwise, what you're doing might not benefit you, right? Like, you need to be ready to, you can't be rigid in a sense. You need to be ready and open to listen to things, and kind of, mold yourself and make yourself, be ready to see yourself as a better person. And without that, I
Yeah,
think, yeah, yeah, I
may
get what
sound
you
hard will come your way in therapy.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
But it's
think it
definitely liberating.
right. Right. I agree. So yeah, I think that's something I would agree with as well. Um, I think, okay, the larger conversation, the reason we're kind of having this conversation is because where we are today is that there is still some kind of stigma still associated with mental health, right? So if you were to kind of say, where did we kind of go wrong in combating the mental health situation? And what are some maybe individual, societal, and institutional problems that we can combat, that you think that are feasible? I mean, doesn't require much, but just the will to kind of look in this direction.
Such a very loaded question to ask a psychologist. Huh? All of us
Ab-
start complaining. We'll be like, everything is wrong, our history is wrong, our people are wrong, policy is wrong.
yeah,
We complain about everything. Like, everything
right.
is wrong.
Yeah,
I'm a hope.
yes.
That's what I.
So I believe that if you're a psychologist, I'm sure there's some optimism in you, which is why I asked this question. So I'm hoping you can structure that and kind of tell us what is it that we can do.
Um, there is optimism, but that also means very critically analyzing our current scenario.
Hmm.
As mental health professionals, even those, like for example, I'm considered youth mental health professional, right? I'm younger than most other professionals out there. Even young mental health professionals, most of us work in silos unnecessarily for
Yeah.
some strange reason. Uh,
Yeah.
we compete more often than we collaborate.
Yep.
As an industry, we're so painfully behind embracing innovation. And when, like, my co-founder keeps saying that when research from a few decades ago is still relevant today, it means we're not innovating fast enough in the field.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to a day, man, when somebody from like staff or NIMHANS or NIMH will call me up and be like, "You're doing this wrong, please change it. Like, this
Yeah.
is how you're supposed to do it."
Yeah.
And mentor and guide a lot of us doing some work.
Yeah.
But right now, everybody is like locked in their own little. And I understand where it's coming from, but I think it's high time we break it. And it's something we can do just by reaching out, having conversations, like we're doing you and I right now,
Yeah.
getting to know each other's work, supporting each other in many ways.
Right.
The other big thing that we've been noticing is a gap in communication between those who are seeking support and those who are providing support.
Right.
There are enough Google searches. Why am I like this? Can I commit suicide? Am I in an abusive relationship? Do I have depression? Enough people have the question. How
Right.
come you're asking Google and not a therapist?
Yeah. Yeah.
So communication gap is really important. But like, if you or I went to our mothers and said, "Amma, I'm having stomach ache," she's gonna take me to GP, she's gonna take me to a hospital, she's gonna take me to Hanuman Mandir. But she's not going to take me to a therapist
Yeah.
and say, "Is this anxiety?" Or
Yeah.
she's not going to Google what is recurrent stomach ache in a 7-year-old child mean.
Right.
She doesn't have access to knowledge in her native language either,
Right.
nor is she well informed about this.
Right. I
What is she,
wouldn't blame her because she doesn't know about it, right?
so what's
Yeah.
she going to do? The best that she knows what to do, take me to a
Yeah.
doctor, give me some pills, and say, "Go to sleep."
Yeah.
So I think the government also has a few avenues, no doubt,
Right.
but the complications of legal laws and the few organizations that are working in it is so much that the impact is not large scale,
Right.
and no student of psychology is being paid enough to go train all of these general practitioners about education in.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
GQ recently came up with an article on
Hmm.
how existential memes are doing more for mental health and psychoeducation than health practitioners are.
Right.
I think, okay, it's very hurtful,
Okay. Yeah.
but
It
it's
must be. Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
us follow art artists, me included. Like I'm scrolling like Instagram all the time to look for designers and artists who are doing great work in mental health.
Right.
Uh, I but as school, like in school also, like let's say even when you and I were studying, if our college mate or someone who's 17 years old came drunk to class or with a lot of bruises, we wouldn't go up to them and say, hey, are you okay? Is your mental health okay? And
Yeah.
even if we got to ask the question, how are you? Or is everything all right? We wouldn't know what to do with the answer that would come
Come our way. Right.
our way, right? So even
Right.
if we do want to support somebody going through mental health issues, we don't know how to. So it's a lot of social, political, institutional barriers
Barriers. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
from easily accessing mental health.
Right. What do you think we can do? Just small things, like for example, what you just said, just for being for someone, like you just mentioned. What is it that we can do? Because oftentimes they're not. We're still in the middle of these things. In the sense, we're still trying to figure out, even if you want to, right? Like for example, I would. I'm relatively. I mean, I'm not Gen Z, but I mean, in line with this, right? So when I see friends, or if I want to be there for friends, sometimes you don't know how to, right? Because you've not had these conversations. You don't know where to, draw the line. You don't know where to kind of step back and say, okay, this they can handle by themselves. How does one kind of go about this, right? Again, this is again coming from a personal space, and I'm just thinking out loud. But maybe as someone who's on the other side, you can perhaps help us through this. I'm sure there are a lot of people who feel the same way, right? Because a lot of us want to be there for people, but we just don't know how to, or sometimes we're just not allowed, right? So how do we go about something like this?
Young people are super empathetic, eh? So
Ah,
they want to be there for everybody. They want to like be there for all the causes. They want to stand up for everything.
yeah,
But at some point, it's also important to realize where our line is.
yeah,
And part of supporting someone else is supporting oneself first.
right,
So step one is to figure out, what can I support someone else with? What skills do I have to support someone else with?
yeah,
Maybe I'm really good at jokes and I can call up a bunch of friends and like cheer them up.
right,
Maybe I'm really good at listening to somebody when they're going through a crisis.
right,
Maybe I'm one of those friends that can help people clean up their kitchen and clean up their room whenever they're going through a slump.
right,
To find out what is possible and capable by me.
right,
And two, to remember that you're a friend, not their therapist.
right,
And you don't have to fix their problems for them. They
right,
don't get fixed around you. That they just need to feel not alone.
right.
And your friends just need to feel, hey, my friend gives a shit about me.
Yeah. No,
And
yeah, you're right. Yeah,
yeah, they don't need to feel, okay, what is this coping mechanism I'm using? Is this healthy for my style? No, that's the therapist's job.
yeah,
Maybe all like at Heart It Out, I know that a lot of the young people come with their friends, and their friends sit outside till they finish their therapy session. And when their friends get out, they give them chocolates and water and take them back home. That's very supportive.
yeah,
That's very loving,
yeah,
and that's enough.
yeah.
So, as much as I complained about a lot of things, I have to say there is hope.
Yeah,
At least in the last decade that I've been acquainted with within the field,
right,
so many new people have come about speaking about something.
right,
Deepika Padukone or activists like Nirmala Srinivasan, even designers and artists like Pranita and
right,
Monica Nata, who are doing such great work.
right,
Um, so I think there is hope.
right. So things are looking up.
Things are looking up. Yes.
Right.
Just long
Um,
distance for us to
yeah,
reach.
like there's a glint of hope and light somewhere in the distance. Yeah, but I think, yeah, I think slowly but surely we'll get there. And I think it's just heartening to see we're all a part of this process in whatever way possible. Because today, if we don't take steps, then tomorrow, the people who are to follow us will just look up to us and say, "Why didn't you do anything?" Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so
My
at least we're
have
doing.
already started asking questions. They're like, what did you do?
Yeah, so that's definitely something. I think so. Kind of taking away from the optimistic thing and kind of changing the approach towards mental health, right? So, especially because I saw the kind of things that you have done. You have been associated with theater, a lot of art, and a lot of things apart from mental health, right? Um, so generally people look up to arts when it's dull times, which is why today in given the current situation, we see budding artists everywhere. Everybody's turning to some form of art, whether it's music, art, painting, singing, whatever. So how do you think arts can come together with mental health and change that scenario? Talk to us about the events that you kind of do at Heart It Out and how you kind of bring these two together. And almost like a follow-up or kind of like a fun part of this, what are the perks of being a mental health professional after talking to us about the events that you do and the approach that you have?
Sure, can do. Two-part question.
Yes,
Art-based therapy has been gaining a lot of traction in the West for the last 15 to 20 years.
right,
People have been studying art-based therapy in more scientific ways than ever before.
right.
In India and most other regional countries, art-based life and living always existed.
Mm-hmm.
For example, Rangoli is more than dots,
Right,
music is more than sounds.
right.
Most of us in our youth, at least in India, have been put into one dance class or music class or art class at some
Yeah,
point.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, in India, these days, a lot of work is being done to combine arts with psychology and to
Right,
see what the results could be like.
right.
If you have followed a bit of work by Dr. Shantala Hegde in NIMHANS, who's
Okay.
doing phenomenal work in music and neuroplasticity,
Okay.
bring, bringing both of these things together and seeing what will happen. Maitri Gopal Krishna, who works in Parivartan, has been a drama therapist for I think the last 10 years.
Right.
She's also been a faculty at SMART teaching this to most other people. Tripura Kashyap has done dance-based therapy for so long.
Right.
And my mentor keeps saying that art is the only thing that makes humanity worth living. And I don't know how
Definitely.
true it is, but as an artist myself, those are the few times that my life has perked up. And whenever I have been super sad and upset or stressed, art has been the one thing that has helped me come out of it.
Right.
I still practice theater diligently.
Right.
Uh, it's my second therapist. And
Right.
it's, I think, very important for us to notice what role art has made in our lives.
Hmm.
Everything we look around is art. Like TikTok is still art at some
Right.
point. A lot of people will
Yeah,
just
if you look at it. Yeah.
yeah, Instagram has provided a platform for so many amateur artists,
Yeah.
garner a bit of self-esteem from their work as well.
Right. Agreed. Yeah.
So yeah, I do think that there is some future for art based work, and
Yeah.
I wish a lot more people got into it scientifically to study art
Right.
based impact in people's.
Right. Yeah.
Plus, who doesn't want to draw mountain, sun, and go back and revisit childhood? Like
True. Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that's like, yeah.
with
And
one
yeah, and the wee birds.
and the wee birds and two coconut trees like this.
Yeah. Yeah. And the follow-up part of that question, like, what are the
One
perks of
part
being
of
a
the
therapist?
question, parts of being a mental health professional.
Yes.
The constant question, can you read my mind?
Okay.
So then I get to
Do
come
you
up
just
with
humor?
creative
Do you
answers.
just humor people? Like,
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes I totally go like, imagine if we could read minds, we would read the minds of like all people of ISIS and tell you what they're going to attack next.
yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they, oh yeah, that's probably a stupid question to ask. And we're like,
Yeah.
yeah,
You
but
think so? Yeah.
I think what's really empowering for me is the trust my clients put in therapy
Right.
and in the hands of their therapists and say, okay, you know what, I'm living a messy life. I think you're going to help me with it. And
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
The resilience, my God, like so many people think that therapy is weakness and people who go to therapy is weakness. I can't tell you the amount of strength and courage clients bring to the table. It's very, 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 very inspiring.
Right.
Other people in the field of health itself, frontline workers, essential workers, seeing the way they take their work seriously is so inspiring for me as a psychologist. And
Yeah.
getting to read all of these tidbits about the mind, I think that continuous learning um, is just magical. It's a
Right.
very, very nice field.
Right. I think
Yeah.
when you were talking about the bit about art and how one uh, almost kind of resonating with what your mentor told about art, right? This is one of my favorite quotes from Dead Poet Society, which is a movie where Robert Williams says that medicine, law, business, engineering, all of these things are noble pursuits and necessary to sustain life. But poetry, beauty, romance, love are the things that we stay alive for, right? So
Uh,
it's one of those quotes that's kind of stayed with me, and I think when you were talking, that's exactly what came through. And I agree. I think if there's no art, there's no hope in a sense. Uh, and therapy is all about being optimistic and living for hope. So yeah, I think again, as a follow up to what you were talking, we are currently in living in testing times, unprecedented times. Perhaps this will be written down in history, or history is being written. We all know that have affected the mental health across different ages, different geography, different people, and all of those things. Could you talk to us a little bit about how this pandemic has affected the mental health?
hmm. Short answer, badly.
Yeah, yeah,
Long answer, you are right in saying these are unprecedented times. I recently saw statistics about uh, the word unprecedented has been used about 2 lakh times over the last 3 months. But
right.
it's true, right? And
Yeah,
when by saying unprecedented, that means nobody knows how this pandemic is going to affect our mental health or
right,
way of being.
right,
Are research based guesses, but
right,
not guarantees.
right.
And we have no idea really whether
Yeah,
we're going to come out of this stronger and more resilient, or whether this will push us to create better systems uh,
right,
around us.
right.
Last time something like this happened, the father of modern therapy, Carl Rogers, was 16 years old. So,
Okay.
modern therapy wasn't even born the last
Existing.
time
Yeah,
we have
yeah,
a pandemic. And
yeah,
so it's as new for mental health professionals as it is for everybody else.
yeah.
But I can say that most of us are trying our best. Most of us are talking to each other. I am part of so many therapy forums around the world where therapists are just always talking to each other about how do I deal with this particular thing? How do I support my client with that particular thing? And that is so heartening, um, per se, in therapy.
Right,
A lot of work during this pandemic for people is going to be about going deeper within oneself and
right,
finding out, okay, now what do I want? My
right,
whole world has been turned upside down.
right.
I have no idea when I'm going to go back to my office and plant and pour water in my office plant again.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be dead. So what do I do? What do I do with this now? And go deeper to find that answer. And it's also about taking a lot of time to ask uncomfortable questions, not taking because it is said so as an answer,
Yeah,
challenging everything, including healthcare systems, policies for better healthcare around us. It's also slowly I am noticing that the stress levels for so many people is getting to the point that they now want to disconnect from the news, and they want
right.
to step back, which is great.
Yeah,
Which is great. Like lesser of news,
yeah,
go back to the roots, go back to smaller communities, localize where you're getting joy, connection, depth
yeah,
from.
yeah.
It's about building a stronger sense of self,
Right.
stronger relationships during the pandemic,
Yeah,
and aggressively cutting out toxicity from one's life.
yeah,
Aggressively saying this is not supporting me or I'm not feeling good with this, so I'm going to take a step back and do something else.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of it has been about kind of reassessing or reevaluating and then reconnecting with things that just make you happy, right? And just prioritizing a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think that kind of puts things together. And of course, the follow-up question is, how have you managed to stay optimistic in these times? Please give us some, like those something from your secret book that we can also kind of reflect upon.
Mom's food.
Of course, Ghar Ka Khana.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Okay,
Just really most of these things, and an amazing team to work with. Like,
right,
I just remembered that I forgot to answer your question about the events as well that we
right,
conducting, but that's also something that's keeping me optimistic because
right,
every event we're doing, be it like art-based events like Zentangles or origami or mostly for mindfulness work, or even deep events like I remember in the beginning of Vision of 2020, we made a whole Vision 2020.
right.
Corona had its own vision for us, but
Yeah,
we did do events based on that. We run a sharing circle for people to deal with their anxiety and depression, and
right,
we're going to start men support group soon.
right.
A lot of these things is also helping keep, like, because there is so much to do, I have to get up and do it because so
Yeah,
many people need that support
yeah,
right now. And
yeah,
having a team that supports to do such amazing work is just, I think it's a blessing. It's
yeah,
an honor to work with people whose values align so well with the work that we're doing.
right.
Uh, and the motivation really from most other people who are pushing through during this time.
Yeah.
It's really nice, very heartening.
And now that you've said such amazing things about you and your team and Heart It Out, how do we get in touch with you?
You can reach us out 789-255-1372. We're available on our website. At all points of time, you can reach out. I'm available nitya@heartedout.in. Please feel free to send us any questions. We're very friendly. Like, people think like psychologist means whoa, no, like we crack silly jokes and like send each other memes. We're really nice.
Yeah, I think that is going to get clarified by the end of this session. So don't worry about that. Uh, Yeah, I think unfortunately I could go on and continue talking to you about this forever and ever and pick your brains, but unfortunately we're towards the end of this session, and I'd like to end with something optimistic. So, like you said, perhaps could you give us a couple of maybe one or two tips, such that something that we can practice to kind of cultivate a better mental health in our daily lives?
Sure. So I'm building a bunch of tips for the happy newsletter as well. So these are some things that stood out for me. One, sleep, fix sleep schedule. I know that right now work and home and life and everything is just mishmashed for most of us,
Yep.
me included. But it's really, really important to fix the sleep schedule, not mess with the body, because then the body will mess back with us very badly.
Right.
So sleep schedule, that means sleep on time, wake up on time every day. That time can be different for different people. Some people are night owls, some people are morning people. That's fine,
Yeah.
but to have a fixed rhythm for the body to work in.
Right.
Stretch. It's easier to just plonk in front of the laptop, Netflix away to
Yep.
glory, but
Yep.
super important to move, exercise, dance, stretch, take the coffee cup, put it in the kitchen, whatever.
Yeah.
Just move a
Yeah.
little bit more.
Yeah.
I would say spend time with yourself in privacy. Spend private time with yourself
Right.
every, be it journaling, either in silence, maybe practicing a craft, music instrument or something, or creating, it doesn't matter, but to spend time with oneself, to be
Yeah.
more in touch with oneself, one's own needs, so that even if there is something coming up, we can call up a friend and say, hey, I'm struggling and I need help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, because the world is Hogwarts, ask and you shall receive. So
Yes.
ask for
I think
support.
that's going to be the takeaway from today.
Yes,
Uh,
words.
and yeah, I think those are some tips. I've made mental notes. I'm gonna be trying to follow as much as possible. Thank you so much. I hope people watching us on Facebook were able to take away something as much as I did, and we were super excited and stoked to host you. Thank you so much once again, Nitya, for giving us your time and for letting us pick your brain, giving us some tips and tricks that of your trade, and helping us understand the field a little more better. Thank you, and I hope the world gets a little better. Until then, let's all just stay safe and positive.
And wear a mask.
Yes, wear a mask. Yes.
Thank you so much. This is
Thank
so
you.
wonderful for you to be hosting Dialogues That Matter. This
Yes,
is wonderful that Dialogues is doing that. It's so nice that we're able to collaborate as well to bring out real things during the pandemic. I
right.
hope to talk to more people who are making such a difference.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you on kicking off something so wonderful.
Thank you so much. I think, yeah, the whole idea was that we wanted to, have conversations that really matter. And we're just glad that there are people like you who can collaborate with us at Dialogues and, bring about a series like this. Thank you
Yes.
so much. On that note, guys, like I said, this is an ongoing series, so we have a lot of other interviews coming up. We have a couple of more mental health professionals and organizations that we'll be speaking with. And we have interesting things coming your way. Watch this space. We put out details about Heart It Out and how you can get in touch with Nitya at the end of this video as well. Thank you so much, guys. Hope you have a nice weekend. Thank you, Nitya. Have a nice weekend.
You too.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. I think they want us to just talk a little more. That looks like it. The it's We're still live on Facebook. Um, if we have any questions, we can take them. I don't think we have any questions. Do we have any questions? Let me check as well. Meanwhile, if Nitya, you want to give us a demonstration of the jokes that you were talking about as a therapist.
I don't know. My clients send me a lot. They send me memes about, there's this one meme about somebody saying, a therapist asking, how do you feel? And this one guy says, wait, I found a good meme. I'm going to show you. And then they go back.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, okay.
Uh, yeah, I don't think we have any questions. Just double checking. We're good to go, guys. All right, then. Thank you. Thank you so much. And on that note, I will meet you guys soon. See ya. Bye.